Happy Life Day. Wee! So today I'm joined by Brian and Honnid. Happy episode 150 and upcoming Life Day. So of course to get ready for Life Day, we're gonna talk all about the holiday special, and boy, is it special, you know?
You are sounding impassioned right now. Yeah, happy Life Day, everyone. Life Day is coming up. It is right around the corner, and we're going to be getting into it. Yeah, with Honnid. Last year we talked all about the holiday special, Honnid, for our Patreon. It was awesome.
We did. There was a little bit of a mishap on my part. I'll take full responsibility for that. I should have scrubbed a little bit more. I was under the assumption that the commercials were cut out, but so much good stuff was cut out, which is pretty unfortunate. So I think me and Brian are here today to convince Cassia to let us watch the entire hour and a half special this year. So I say that in the comments below, YouTube, Instagram, all of the things.
Yeah.
We got to get a movement going here.
Yeah, we did the watch along last year on our Patreon, and yeah, we were short about I don't know, like 13-15 minutes of the thing somehow. I think it should be a crime to cut any of the holiday special out myself, but that's okay. We found some good copies of it this year. We got it rewatched again, and we are ready to dive into it. So before we get started, Honnid, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself if they're not familiar with you? They should be. You've been on the podcast several times now, but let everyone know if you've got any updates or how Clonetober went or how much you've been sleeping since October ended or any of that stuff.
Segazo Guego, Ali Huni Yungets. Huni is the name. My name is Huni. I am an artist. I draw things. I have survived my own Clonetober challenge. Life happened a lot in the last few days of Clonetober, so I didn't actually finish my own challenge along with the rest of people competing. Well, not competing, but contributing and making art and stuff. So that was a little sad, but I did get a bit of extra time to work on those last couple prompts that I missed. And what was really important was that we had so many people participating all the way to the end. We had some people bobbing in and out of different prompt lists, and that was always fun. I was doing that as well, mixing the clones with these other prompt lists like Tolkien, and I had like a Batman one, Warhammer 40K one, if anybody's a fan of that stuff. So that was really fun.
Nice.
I did some nights, of course, and I got a lot of really good feedback on the alternate universe stuff that I had done for a lot of the clones in my smaller writing in captions and stuff, and that was really, really fun. So if you're a fan of clones and somehow a fan of the holiday special and clones, there's some good stuff in there, and there may or may not be some references to the holiday special. I think you're gonna have to take a closer look just to check. But I'm an artist. I am on my way in my career, and I've made some pretty big investments recently. So I'm going to need to pay those up a little bit more and more as I go. So expect to see more things coming out of me. And yeah, some pretty special, wild, crazy stuff in 2023. I am very excited, and have young ones. If you have, what is a Wookiee? Are they like puppies? What do you call young Wookiees? Anyway, if you have young Wookiees in the house, you could pick up some of my books for them. Wooklets. I love Wooklets.
Yeah, Wooklets is a good one.
Yeah. Wooklets is great.
Booklets for Wooklets.
Yeah, somewhere out there, someone knows exactly what they're called, and they're yelling at us right now.
Is gonna let us know very kindly.
That's right.
Yeah. So I guess, am I leading this episode? Sure. So, transition time. I'm always really good at these.
Wow.
Some background on the holiday special. What is the background on the holiday special, guys?
Wow. Okay, that was a beautiful transition, just like you get in the holiday special. So, I'm going to read this from the Star Wars Year by Year Visual Chronicle. That was, executive edited by J.W. Rinsler. So this is the best book around if you're looking for some stuff about the history of Star Wars. But if you go to the year 1978, the month was November, and on November 17th, the Star Wars Holiday Special aired. And so this is what it says here in the visual dictionary about it. It says, the Star Wars Holiday Special airs on CBS television, directed by Steve Binder and an uncredited David Akomba, and based in part on a story attributed to an uncredited George Lucas. The show is described by Fox's production notes as a 2-hour visual and audio delight, starring the cast from the hit motion picture Star Wars, along with special guest stars and a live animated musical potpourri of pure entertainment, complete with astonishing electronic special effects. Highlights include Ralph McQuarrie's matte paintings of the Wookiee homeworld Kashyyyk, and an animated cartoon sequence that introduces Boba Fett. In the special, Kashyyyk is pronounced Kazook, and is spelled that way in the script, reflecting Lucas's earliest notes on the Wookiee homeworld. The special is never rebroadcast or officially released on video. So November the 17th, the Star Wars Holiday Special aired and died.
Oh boy. Yeah, that is a great summation of it. Masterful artwork. You had a really good radio voice for that portion. That was really, really awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Beautifully stated.
Yeah, so I mean, that is kind of just the, the general kind of summation, but I mean, there's some pretty kind of neat things to take away from that. And things you might not necessarily, realize when you're watching it, but, the McQuarrie matte paintings, that stuff is awesome. It's interesting because when you watch it now, 1978 being all the way, in the far distant, past for us, to hear Kazook and you're like, that sounds funny, but it's interesting to know that that's, kind of in, from the first notes of, Chewbacca's homeworld, coming from George Lucas. So I think that stuff is, kind of interesting, even though, arguably the Star Wars Holiday Special is a fantastic debacle. There were some steps being made to make it something pretty neat, and I don't know. 1978 was a wild time, I guess.
Wild time.
Truly.
One of the producers, we can't say because of YouTube, but it was drugs, so it was drugs.
Yeah. So interesting factoid. I think that's what I was saying on our commentary. Interesting factoid. On the Matt Gorley podcast, by the name of I Was There Too, Matt interviewed Larry Hader, and his suggestion was it seemed like it was a Coke set, and that things were made with haste, we'll say, and a lot of quick decisions were made. And Larry himself said that nope, if it was made maybe 5 years later, it would have been, of that type of substance. But it was a very pot show, he put it. Another producer, he said that he tried to, let me look at my note here. Said that he would try and work with actors on ancillary stuff, trying to, get work on side things or introduce them to different stuff that they had working for, the sets and whatever. But he made a comment and said that they were all so dopey. So I took that and I questioned, does he mean depressed? Does he mean they were sullen? Because most of the returning cast were actually contractually obligated to come back and or felt contractually obligated. They felt like they owed it to Lucas for the success of A New Hope. So does he mean depressed, or were they dipping into that that Kazook, we'll say? Were they doped out for, the very understandable reason of not wanting to be there, or were they coping with the doping? That is the question of the hour.
Coping with the doping. I love it. Yeah, this thing, it came together so weird, and then everything surrounding it, like you said, all the stuff there with the writing team, where I just hopped up on something, putting this thing together. Like I don't know if there were no guardrails on this, if it just spiraled out of control so fast, and George Lucas was busy getting prepped for Empire or what. But I know like Steve Binder is is credited as the director for it, and I guess on the last day of shooting, he's like, all right, I'm done, and just left. He didn't stay to help like edit it or cut any of the thing or whatever. So I would be interested to know. I need one time I need to do a lot more research, but I don't know what kind of timeline this was made on. Where did like everyone come in for like a week and put this thing together? Because I couldn't imagine that it would have taken very long, especially when we're getting into our Star Wars characters. Like you said, kind of felt obligated to be there contractually and otherwise. Han Solo definitely was contractually obligated to be there, or else he wouldn't have been. Anthony Daniels probably would have turned up for it anyways, but but yeah, I don't know. It's a wild thing.
So Larry Hayter said on the Matt Gorley podcast that it took a span of 2 months from filming to the release of the holiday special. So pretty quick turnaround, and that's kind of the running theme with the entire special. And David Akumba, or is it Acombe? He actually left the production after shooting only a few scenes because he was used to kind of more of a run and gun filmmaking style, and felt very constrained by the TV setup that was very stationary. He didn't know what he was exactly doing, so he actually shot each scene. If listeners are familiar with another filmmaker by the name of Tommy Wiseau, they're familiar with his masterwork as well, The Room from 2003, which I'm also a very, very huge fan of. He used a similar style that was very misguided, where they were shooting on a digital and a film camera. David was as well, but he was a digital camera yet, but they were shooting on 5 different cameras simultaneously for these super stationary actors. And again, he didn't know what he was doing, and it was very, very open with that fact, with the rest of the cast, with the producers, with the writers. And that was also an issue where he felt constrained. And as the special was being shot and they were adding more scenes, taking things out, he rapidly realized that it wasn't his vision, and slowly the people around him could see him losing interest and becoming I don't know how he coped, but he had to cope by exiting, and that's what credited, because he only shot a few scenes.
Yeah, but it's just kind of surreal that this thing came together like at all. Like, it makes sense that there would have been a special, to capitalize on the success of Star Wars. I think when this came out, the holiday special, I think like it had just ended its theater run. Like, it had been in theaters for like, I don't know, like 70 weeks or something, right? So something
something wild,
just crazy like that, to definitely capitalize on it. So I know one of us on the pod has watched this substantially fewer times than the other people on the pod, but let's talk about our backgrounds with this. Cassia, let's start with you. When did you first lay your eyes on this visual spectacle, I believe it was referred to as in the visual dictionary?
Star Wars Club in high school. And that's kind of what killed the Star Wars Club in high school, because we're like, wait, this is Star Wars.
You broke the Star Wars Club that day.
It broke us, and after that, we're like, what do we do now? Knowing what we've seen. And then I watched it again last year with you guys for Patreon, and then I watched the Boba Fett stuff on my own, and we're going to watch that again today, the animatic. So I have seen it maybe like 2.5 times. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 2.5. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What about you, Honnid? Are you above or below 2.5 times on your watch of the holiday special?
Oh boy, I'm probably sitting around like maybe I'm somewhere around 10. I might be around 10 because I've gone past the point where I find it cringy, and like I was rewatching some segments earlier. I didn't rewatch the entire special. I'll have people know that I am a false prophet. I am a liar. I am a hypocrite. But I watched little bits and pieces, and honestly, the Cirque du Soleil alien people, I was working on something on my own and like taking notes from another thing I was watching, and it's a bop. Like it goes hard. Like I found myself genuinely enjoying it. Anyway, I'm a broken man. So I think I watched this the first time in college. I think it might have
Okay.
been my freshman year in college, because it was around there, or maybe even like senior year of high school, that me and my group of friends got into very, very bad, like so bad it's good films, like The Room, as I mentioned before, Troll 2, which is another really excellent one.
Oh boy.
And then the holiday special was one that I took some convincing from my friend group. I've watched a lot of bad movies, and the holiday special I can still find enjoyment in. Is I guess where I'm getting to. So yeah.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. 10 times. That's a good round number. I did actually watch the whole thing. Found the full version on YouTube and watched that. I actually watched it. My in-laws were in town, so my mother-in-law and I watched it just a couple of days ago. She was like,
Oh,
"What?
geez.
What are you watching right now? What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Hey, I wasn't alive in 1978, so don't blame me for this thing. It's not on me for sure." But yeah, kind of same as you, Hooney.
Yeah.
I watched it the first time probably in college, because it's one of those things, right? Like if you didn't know someone who had like a bootleg copy of this, or you didn't go to, like some sort of like comic book show or like Star Wars convention, or something like that, to pick up a copy, like how are you going to watch it really until like the internet turned into a thing where you could get on and download movies and stuff like that. So I would have seen it, yeah, like the first time in college, kind of when I had access to some sort of like broadband internet to be able to. And then it just, yeah, it kind of became this thing where I just watch it every once in a while, every couple of years. I'd be like, oh yeah, holiday special, let's turn that back on. But I have to agree with you. When I was just rewatching it this week, yeah, all the music in this thing is a jam. Good job, music department, on the holiday special for sure.
Yeah.
Jefferson
Yeah, truly.
Starship. It was special.
Jefferson Starship, it was special. It was special for sure. You had Jefferson Starship. You had B. Arthur singing. You had Diane Carroll singing.
Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher singing at the end,
Oh,
which I guess
yeah.
I guess was in her contract, that she was going to get to sing a song.
Yeah.
To be part of it. So a lot of really great stuff, and probably the best stuff of the holiday special are the Star Wars sections. That's what everyone tuned in on their TVs. They all sat around and watched it because they wanted to get Star Wars characters on their TV, and we got that in some different snippets. Obviously this is taking place on Kashyyyk, the Wookiee homeworld, but what do you have to do to celebrate Life Day? You got to get Chewbacca back there. So we got Han and Chewie, they're trying to get back to Kashyyyk. You've got Luke and R2, they're stranded somewhere trying to fix Luke's X-Wing. Leia and C-3PO, they're at a rebel base. And meanwhile, you have Darth Vader and the Empire. They've set up a blockade around Kashyyyk because they know that those pesky rebels are going to be going back for Life Day, and what better way to trap these guys?
I have an interesting factoid as well.
All right.
I don't know if it's well known. Maybe this is me being a nerd and being like, oh, I found a tasty morsel that I'm going to share. One of the writers actually said that one of the reasons that Han Solo was so anxious to Kashyyyk was that Lucas had written it that Han had a Wookiee wife on Kashyyyk, but they didn't want it to be explicit or like super stated that he had a Wookiee wife, because Lucas said it would be deemed controversial. So it was in there in the acting, but never stated. So looking back, the moment between Mala and Han, I mean, looking past Chewie and seeing Han and thinking, there's my man, and here's Chewbacca, his really good close friend. Like, is Chewbacca, I don't know, is there some kind of triangle that we're not aware of?
We're speculating.
How much did Harrison know? This is dangerous speculation. We are not safely speculating. And that's something that Lucas, whenever they were scripting out the holiday special, was one of the many ideas that he kind of like shotgun blasted at the writers to just like, okay, here's all this stuff, do this, and this, and then he scripted out each minute of the holiday special with another idea. So there was 90 ideas, and yeah. That was one of them. So is this a wild Lucasism, or is this something that was unspoken on set but was known?
Yeah, I don't know. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of the Harrison Ford things, right? You see him and he is so very
Yeah.
disinterested in it. I do like the Star Wars sections because they're
Oh,
pulling
yeah.
like stuff from the films, which just looks like breathtakingly good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then kind of
Yeah.
the rest of it. But yeah, you got Han and Chewie there. You've got Luke and R2D2. R2D2 is of course playing R2D2 himself. Luke's there. He's got the blondest of blonde hair. He's got a lot of makeup on because this was right. This was shortly after he'd been, I think it was in like a motorcycle accident, so it was pretty heavy on the makeup. There you get those two trying, and then I really actually like the Leia and C-3PO stuff because that those two come off as like the most like natural like part of this, I guess, or the most like into it,
Yeah.
like leaning into it the most.
Yeah, and I guess she just was really happy she was able to sing, and she was like the most go get 'em, most game to do the holiday special.
After they agreed to give her singing section, she became like all about the holiday special. And each one of the actors actually felt like participating in the holiday special was, they felt reluctant but felt like they needed to do it. But there was also a huge stigma at the time about Hollywood actors going to TV because it felt like such a huge step down career-wise. So that was kind of controversial for them as well to, even be stepping into it. Because, yeah, apparently, Harrison was only on set for 2 days. By all accounts, Mark was very, he was amenable. He was there like working like a 9 to 5. He was there for everything, but he too had some reservations about it. And then again, I think Carrie had some leaning to do on set, and C-3PO was there to lean on a certain scene if you have a keen eye for it. But yeah, kind of wild.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got the Star Wars crew there. They're trying to do their best to get back to Kazook, like we'd said. But a lot of the film really, the film takes place on Kazook.
Yes.
With the members of the family, right? So Mala and Itchy and Lumpy there at their houses. They're kind of getting ready for Life Day. They're dealing with some Imperial entanglements, and they're kind of used in the holiday special as like a catalyst for these skits. Right, so you've got Lumpy running around. He's, watching some sort of like hologram thing of like this dance number. There's like some VR that comes into play for good old Itchy, who's going to be watching some very very good performance. By Diane Carroll. They're doing her song. You've got another kind of section where Mala is watching TV, watching Chef Gourmanda doing some cooking. Pretty wild, these skits. I guess it was akin to other kind of like comedy specials that they would have had like in the mid-ish 70s, but I think from what I've read and understand is by the time this came out, those were kind of like on the tail end of being fashionable. So I think that really probably also leaned into why this was pretty well panned, that they kind of outlived itself at that point.
Yeah, and that's something that Lucas wanted to lean away from, but because he was needed elsewhere with making Empire and stuff like that, he would be looking at the dailies, but he wasn't all the way there. And apparently some of the writers assumed that what was his name, David Acombe, that he spoke for Lucas, like he was in constant communication with him, but he really wasn't. So it was like so many ladders that led nowhere whenever it came to communication and connectivity between the writers, the producers, and then trickle all the way down to the actors. So lots of loose ends here.
Yeah.
That's right. But so we had, like I said, the comedy skits. You had Chef Gourmanda there, which is like a Julia Child kind of thing with the forearms, coming out of Chef Gourmanda doing this cooking, the whisk and the beat and the mash or whatever it was is kind of going through there. You had Drum Boyd,
whip, stir,
whip, stir, beat. That's right. You had Drum Boyd,
stir. Now we're having fun.
you had Dromboid the android was doing like I don't know, like the earliest iteration of like a masterclass, like trying to teach good old Lumpy how to put together his I don't even know what it was supposed to be, like a radio or something. He's putting together, and then you also had you had kind of the musical skit of the cantina scene, which is probably the most behind the the cartoon where we meet Boba Fett. That's probably the other kind of thing that people really remember, is seeing B. Arthur, and you have the cantina with all of like the actual cantina creatures from Star Wars, all the same costumes and masks and all that kind of stuff. And then she does kind of that song bit, playing Akmina, who actually is canonized now. Something else that's been canonized, because there was a story about her in the Star Wars from a Certain Point of View book from 2017. So there you go, holiday special, 110% canon. But Huni, of kind of the comedy skits and things, which one stands out as being the best, do you think?
Oh boy, do you have a favorite type of ice cream? Do you have a favorite type of holiday treat? Do you have a favorite type of each one of the categories? Because each one stands in its own category for me. Because if you really think about it, John Boyd is giving Lumpy instructions on how to contact his potential father. Chewbacca, potential father. But even Lumpy looks at Han in a type of way that feels like paternal, like fellow father. Welcome home.
Stay away from my mom.
Yes.
Stay away from my mom, Han.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. And even in that segment, John Boyd does an early iteration a long time ago of a bump of Something to Cope, I believe. Something that would become more fashionable 5 years after production date. That's what it looked like to me, and that whole segment is insane because of the way that he's acting, the way that it's cut, and the way that it's like edited. There was notes from producers saying that once it was shot, like Steven and everyone else involved on set was like they washed their hands of it and gave it to the editors, and we're just like, nah, we're fine. So that section as well goes on, I think, way longer than it needs to. Yeah. The BR segment also goes on for what feels like 12 days.
Yeah.
And we hear way too much from Itchy, and we see way too much Itchy as well, like his gums. Like a whole situation. This man's been chewing tobacco, Kazook tobacco for 60 plus years. I don't even think he's a full elder. He's probably just had a hard life. So there's that as well. I'd also say, Gormanda with the 4 arms. That is an amazing segment as well, because you've got, the extra arms that are coming into play. You've got the coordination, you've got the singing, and you've got the ladle that very clearly hits the actor. It directly goes in upper lip and then goes straight into the like really enjoying whatever it is, pretending to anyway, but clearly in pain. So I don't know. And then Mala is just trying to do her best for her half human, half Wookiee son, and Itchy, their grandfather that's just sitting on the couch watching what is it, the mind eraser they call it, instead of the VR machine. That's also very subtle, but she's really just doing her best. She's trying. Her husband and his best friend Chewbacca is like out of the house, so like really just putting in the effort, and Gormanda is as well, and everyone's just trying their best. And I don't know, I really can't pick a favorite. They're so good.
I like the cantina.
I would say the cantina is my least favorite, but please go on, Cassia. I'll have notes.
Oh wow.
Okay, okay. My favorite is the cantina, but
alrighty.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's an iconic location, and I like Bea MacArthur, and I just like her closing song, And I really wish I had more interesting factoids, to be like, and this is why I like it. Many. But it's really just like, I like it because I like it, so I like it,
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, B. Arthur was only in it because apparently her kid liked Star Wars and told her to be in it. So
Yeah.
So I think that's
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, the Cantina one is the best for sure. But yeah, Harvey Korman was giving it his all. I will say that the Dromboid the Android, that
Yeah.
one, rewatching it every time, I'm like, yeah, I could get my head around Chef Gourmanda and some of the other stuff, and I'm like, okay, this kind of feels peripherally like Star Wars, but the Dromboid the Android just to me just does not feel like Star Wars at all.
Oh no. Yeah, it's a little disturbing.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
little
it's
unsettling.
yeah, I wouldn't want to watch it. Like it's something that you're like you fall asleep with the TV on and you wake up at like 3 in the morning and
You're like,
Yeah.
what is
Dromboid
this?
is
Yeah.
there, and then you have nightmares and you
Something
can't
staring at
sleep.
you.
It's bad news all around, all around. But yeah, so those are kind of the comedy skits, and then the music. Like I mentioned, we had kind of this like Cirque du Soleil kind of thing. You have Diane Carroll, who's a very famous singer, performing a song. You have Jefferson Starship come on, and they're performing like a banger of a song. So good job. That was cut out of
Yeah.
the Patreon episode we did. We didn't get that, so I got to watch that
Yes, it
again
was.
recently. Really great song. Of course, it's Jefferson Starship. They're great. So
Yeah. So I do have some notes on the B. Arthur thing. Apparently, she was a little bit difficult for producers to directly deal with, like handle, because I don't want to say she was a diva, but she was very, successful, right? For the Golden Girls. I'm a young person apparently, but I'm not super familiar. But yeah,
well,
she was,
The
you
Golden
know,
Girls didn't start until 1985, so she wasn't famous for that yet. But she was in Maude,
oops.
which was
Okay. Okay.
she was Maude in Maude. So that was she was pretty famous for that, which started in 1972 and ran up to 1978. And apparently the producers of Maude saw the
Gotcha.
holiday special and said, "We're ending this. Cut all ties with P. Arthur right now."
Yeah. So yeah, that was actually in the article that I read. That was the dark side of the holiday special, something like that. I'll send you guys the link to the article after, so you guys in the audience can take a read as well.
Yeah.
But their note actually was that she was basically her character Maud. That doesn't mean much to me, but apparently, yeah, she was. She didn't really like to repeat anything that she was given. She wasn't receptive to like a lot of notes. If there's something that she did, or if they asked for another take on something, she would ask them specifically what it was that she did wrong. And yeah, she was a star, but she also remembers the singing and having a great time on set, but she didn't realize that she was in a Star War because what her schedule was. She just remembered it as the day that she shot this musical with the masked people. So that's fun.
That's right. And the guy that's drinking through at the top of his head.
Oh yeah. I've got some notes on him as well. Yeah, Krellman's whole situation. And we can handle that in a minute. But also another interesting factoid: one writer apparently brought their child to the set because Star Wars,
no.
the cantina, had all the masks back and they had all the characters back, and they also had a giant rat. So he was like, "Come on, child, I'll bring you to this. I'm a father. This is going to be a core memory because you love the Star War. I'm working on the Star War. Let's go see a Star War. I'm working on it. You love me. I'm your hero. Here we go. Core memories unlocked." So he brought the child to set, but again, a lot of communication on the holiday special, and wearing a mask and a full suit, very hot. Shooting inside a closed set with a lot of lights directly shooting at you, very hot. Recording with B. Arthur, some will find very hot. I do not. I do not. But a lot of the actors apparently were not given oxygen tanks
Oh
on
boy.
set. That is like a requirement for working with, masks of that type. So they weren't given air, they weren't given, water, they weren't given the proper things because those security checks weren't in place because it was a very dopey set. So this child saw the Star Wars, but also additionally with that memory, which I'm sure started off great, started to see actors collapse and just kind of slunk to the floor and in place just fall over because so many of the actors were getting heat stroke or passing out from dehydration. So this child, whoever this child is, they didn't identify the child. They've got so many core memories of just watching, a bunch of Greedos and unicorn animal like men and werewolves and humanoid rat people falling over. I don't know, man. Hats off to them. I hope they stayed a Star Wars fan, but I would understand if they went over to Star Trek.
Passing out is what I want to do when I watch the holiday special for sure. So, yeah, poor kid there. But yeah, I mean, there's I don't know. It's an interesting amalgamation of stuff, and then ultimately, the heroes make it past the Imperial blockade and get back just in time for Life Day. Everything is good to go. So the other kind of important part of the Star Wars Holiday Special, even if you discard all of the Star Wars Holiday Special, it was the first appearance of Boba Fett in a little animated clip. So why don't we take a really quick break, and Huni and Cassia and myself are going to watch the animated section. We'll probably put that up as a watch along on our Patreon if you want to check that out. It's patreon.com/oldrepublicpodcast. But we're going to watch that, take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit about the animated feature, and then talk about the lasting legacy of the Star Wars Holiday Specials. So sit tight, and we will be right back.
And an animated Star Wars story on the Star Wars Holiday Special.
All right, so Cassia, Huni, we just watched the story of the Faithful Wookiee. What did you think? Cassia, what did you think?
I think it's the most interesting segment of the holiday special, and maybe because it's animated, it's easier to kind of let my mind just kind of not check the internal logic of everything, and just kind of go along with everything. Okay. So it's cool to see Boba Fett for the first time, and I wonder if Jon Favreau, as a child, watched this and is like, I'm gonna make Star Wars all about this dude,
Yeah, for sure, because he definitely drew a lot from it. Obviously, had the gun there, that pulse rifle is the same, identical for the Mandalorian, and kind of the way that the helmet and stuff looks. It's weird to think that this cartoon kind of came before the whole world knew what Boba Fett was. It's just weird to kind of put yourself in that mindset, right? But I guess if it's 1978, you're a kid, you're watching this, you're like, who's this crazy character? I wanna learn more about him. So maybe that was part of the mystique around Boba Fett and why it became this so beloved character from the original trilogy. But Huni, we didn't get to watch this part on our bootleg watch through last year. What do you think about the cartoon section here?
I tell you, Brian, I cry every time. Just the art style itself, the betrayal. I almost said Mark. Luke trusted Boba with all his heart, and you can see it in his big pearly blues. He feels so much betrayal. This is a young Luke. This is the young rebellion Luke. He's really hurt by what happens, and he apparently doesn't trust easy in this version of Luke, because he does shoot first. He shoots that big old lizard, tries to take it out immediately, and maybe he took a couple notes from Han, but yeah, and you can really, really feel the betrayal. You can see, how much pain it causes him in those few frames that those animators made, and yeah, it's a great time. It introduces us to a lot of really great stuff, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, Cassia, like you were saying, it feels like a bit of a stop off on this super rocky road that you're going on when watching the holiday special. Yeah, it is great visually. The voice acting is maybe a 5 or 6, but I actually have some interesting factoids if we'd like to get into those.
Okay.
Yeah, some juicy morsels. So all the actors coming back did their lines in around one take, each one of them. Harrison Ford really just didn't want to be involved in any of this, so he tried to make sure everything that he did involving the holiday special was in one take, and he wanted everything to be ready whenever he arrived on set. So there's that. But interestingly enough, Mark Hamill was the only one who was super, super nervous when he arrived on set. it's almost as if he really cared about his voice work when it came to the animation. Almost like he'd make a career later on, perfecting his voice acting. Hint, 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 hint. But yeah, it's kind of funny.
Just think, we wouldn't have the Joker in the Batman the Animated Series if it were not for the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yeah, that is very true. Also, a note on Boba. So the animators themselves, the artists themselves, they took after Jean Mobius Girard. They took after the art style, but they were also given production images and the black and white prototype armor that was made for Boba Fett. So they had that content to work from, but he didn't have any color. So it was up to the animators to color Boba Fett to their best ability. And what they did was give him a color scheme that fit in with the Mobius aesthetic. So that's kind of a fun factoid. I really like that. I wasn't aware of that before. Yeah. So, that's really fun.
Yeah, that is pretty fun. I think my favorite part about this cartoon segment here is that Chewbacca knows that something is up with Boba Fett the whole time, but no one listens to Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's called the Faithful Wookiee.
But then, C-3PO and R2-D2 are like, oh no, we intercepted this thing, and then Luke's like, oh okay, I'll listen to you, but not to Chewbacca. So poor Chewbacca, he's always doing his best, always knows that something's up. But yeah, this section, it's just kind of fun, and it's I don't know, it's weird in a way because you're going back and it's like that's just Star Wars. It's not like this new thing. I don't, kind of in a way, like it feels like you're going back into the Star Wars world after you've come out of the kind of the holiday special world of Star Wars. So I don't know, it's kind of fun, and it's really pretty, and it's just a really kind of interesting thing. I think that it's neat that they put it onto the Disney Plus, so you can just watch through that. There was also like a little golden book, like storybook, like children's storybook that they made a couple years after this, called The Faithful Wookiee. So I don't know, I looked a little bit, I couldn't find one online to track down, but I'd be interested to see what exactly is in that book. So I don't know, pretty fun stuff there. But I don't know, we're kind of winding down now. Like I said, our Star Wars crew has made it back to Kazook for Life Day just in time. Everything is saved. The celebrations can go on as planned. The Wookiees can get their red robes on, carry their orbs down, go to the Tree of Life. Princess Leia can sing us a song to send us out of here. But Cassia, what are your main takeaways from this visual spectacle of the holiday special? We're only doing Life Day only comes once a year, so we only get to do one of these episodes a year. So you're gonna have to really just let us know all the things that you think about it right now.
When I watch it, I realize I try to disassociate from what I'm seeing on the screen. But I try not to, because Honnid comes here just like totally excited, like all so things excited. Holiday special, and I'm like, I really just need to be passionate about this and like or at least just pretend, but I think like when it comes to stories, like KOTOR is like my story BFF, and like Honnid's story BFF is probably the holiday special, and it's just like I'm never gonna like be BFFs with the holiday special, and like maybe I shouldn't try to force it, but oh my gosh, it's funny. I try.
This has been an affront to the holiday special. No, I totally get it. The holiday special is it is a weird amalgamation. Honnid and myself, we can appreciate high art. We understand it. We have a refined palate ourselves. Yeah. So I get that it's not for. No, I'm totally kidding. Like I totally get if you watch this, and you're like, this is a dumpster fire. I don't even know what I'm watching. I am going to disassociate. I'm going to turn my brain off. My eyes are going to glaze over, and I'm just going to try to get through the next hour and 38 minutes. I totally get that, but I don't know. There's something about it that's kind of endearing. Maybe I'd feel differently about it like had I been like a kid in 1978 and I turned it on and I'm like, what is even happening? But clearly that's not the case. It did very well, the night that it was on, obviously because it was Star Wars. But Empire Strikes Back didn't do too bad when it came out, so there was no real harm done from this, right?
Yeah.
It didn't really harm the brand or anything like that. But I don't know. It's something, and every time I watch it, like I get a little bit more joy out of it for some reason. It's like a fine wine. It just gets better with age. But Huni, I'm going to turn this over to you because you probably have more factoids for us, or at least kind of some parting thoughts about this thing, or why this resonates with you so much.
Yeah. So I can eat caviar. I had flan once. I really didn't like it. It was not for me. But I had just gotten done talking to people about my culture, about the Mohawk traditions and stuff, and I was there with a friend of mine, and I'm half, he's full, so there's a whole thing there. And I fell back on the fact that I am also Kwakyo whenever it came to the flan, because I couldn't finish it. It was disgusting. But we had just gotten finished telling this educator that, there was this custom where, whenever you were the guest, it's like customary to finish your meal and, it's a kindness. So there's a fun story that's attached there as well. The holiday special is nothing compared to flan. I can eat the holiday special. Flan is garbage. This is the anti-flan podcast, by the way. So I can survive and I can appreciate most things because I survived flan, which is disgusting. But I've refined my palate with a nice intake of garbage and a nice intake of films that are garbage, but are garbage not because they're garbage. They're garbage because the resources weren't there. So the holiday special itself was budgeted to have an $11 million budget, but they were given $1 million to make it. So there's that. I mentioned the room before. There are people that are trying, and that effort can be rewarded in repeat viewings, or seeing different bits and pieces, little different morsels that I didn't notice before. I can eat the flan, but I hate it. But if there's something new in there that I didn't realize before, maybe each bite can become more of an enjoyable experience. Or I'm just a broken person on the inside, and I just enjoyed this flan and managed to make it get some sustenance from it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that came up. I don't know why that's where my brain went. But much like Frank Reynolds from It's Always Sunny, I'm the trash man, so I can appreciate the garbage. I don't know. Maybe maybe I've found the gold nuggets and I just hold on until I get to them, because I know the first viewing I really did have to watch it in like 3 or 4 sittings, and I was in college, so like. I was in my dorm and I was like, oh God. And, I had to get through it. But I have this like thing where if I start a certain movie and it's very bad, if I'm past the 20-minute mark, I'm like, I need to finish it. Even if by the end, I hate that I've done this. Like I'm usually doing something else to occupy my time. So maybe there's an amount of dissociation. But again, the holiday special is still super enjoyable to me for these different stop offs on the rocky road. The animation, the music, the insanely wild costuming, knowing that some of the Wookiee actors were not passing out but taking more frequent breaks and stuff. Apparently the actress that played Lumpy was barely 80 to 90 pounds when they started filming, and the suits themselves were very, very heavy, and this person lost a lot of weight as a result of that. So like I'm there for that performance as well, because I'm like, you put the blood, sweat, and tears into this Lumpy performance, and I'm here with you. So there's a lot of interesting factoids. There's a lot of things I've learned over the years, and I've grown a calloused appreciation of the holiday special. And sometimes if you follow me on Instagram, if I'm doing a live, there's a chance I might start watching the holiday special, kind of similar to Carrie Fisher. Like if it's 2 or 2:30 in the morning, or if it's 3, I will test the resolve of the people watching by throwing on the holiday special on half of the screen, and I'll just watch it. I'll watch it with them, and I'll cheer on, as we get through the movie, and I'll just keep an eye on how many people are still watching by the 10-15 minute mark. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I know way too much, like way too much. Oh, another interesting factoid. Apparently, Luke was supposed to have a song. He was supposed to have a singing section, but Mark managed to talk Lucas out of it. And I guess it took some real doing. And he said that I don't think my character would sing. But apparently, there was a whole singing section for Luke that was cut out, and I'm curious if they would have incorporated like the steam and stuff from his X-wing, or I don't know. It is wild. There's so much I learned recently, some new stuff that I learned recently from this article that's going to be linked below, and yeah, more and more appreciation as the years go on. And I don't know, I just keep eating garbage, so it is what it is.
No, I think that's great. Like you said, it's strange to think about the Star Wars Holiday Special because it came out in 1978. It was so panned that it aired that one time, and then basically it never existed again until, like I said, until the internet became a thing, or if you happened to have recorded it that night, some copies would have changed hands and stuff that way. But largely this thing was forgotten or beaten down so much. But it
was buried,
kind of like you, Huni, like a lot of the people that worked on this, you're coming off of the biggest blockbuster film of all time, right? A Best Picture nominee. It changed kind of the landscape of cinema, and obviously, we're still talking about Star Wars here on the podcast. All these years later, it's as big or bigger than it ever has been. And for a lot of those people who went to the casting call and said, "Oh, you can come and be a Cantina alien," like that had to have just been like unbelievable for a lot of these people that said, "Oh, I get to go and do some Star Wars." That's crazy. And I think that stuff like that is really cool, and it's just this weird kind of like snippet into time, when Star Wars wasn't what it was, right? Star Wars wasn't even A New Hope yet. It was still just Star Wars, and this thing comes out. I mean, I think that Disney is kind of leaning into it. They're doing a lot of merchandise for it. They're doing special days at Galaxy's Edge for it. I sent you guys a picture of it, but I've got the little stuffed Chewbacca with his Life Day thing. I've got like the Starbucks mug. I've got they just did a bunch of other stuff, some other like coffee cups, and like the robe. You can buy the red robe. And last year they came out with a book that was written by George Mann and Cavan Scott. It's a collection of short stories. It's called the Life Day Treasury. And I want to give a shout out to, I'm gonna have to look in here and get the name. Yeah, Grant Griffin did the illustrations for it, and the illustrations are awesome too. Cool. But this book is really good if you really like short stories, and it kind of has this holiday kind of flair to them. It's really great. I definitely recommend picking that up and reading through it. It's really fun. I think it's going to be something that I read every year. When we're getting kind of into like late fall, early winter, I'll probably pick that up and read through those. But yeah, I think people are just kind of leaning into it. Like it's almost forgotten that it was so bad, or it's embraced that it was so bad, kind of like you, Huni, right? Like you look at the bad bits and you pull little nuggets out of it, and you like it all the more because it is bad, or something. There's some sort of like sick twisted pleasure that we get from it. But I don't know. Is it the worst thing I've ever seen? Yes, but is it also kind of the most endearing, best thing I've ever seen? Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. But what I do know for sure, this is 194% absolutely true, is that Mission and Big Z celebrated Life Day on Kashyyyk. Had to have.
They did. It's canon.
Yeah.
So. It's all of the canons that count canon. So gavel,
that's
gavel.
Right. On the official canon meter here at the Old Republic podcast. So I don't know, Huni, did you have any other factoids for us, or should we save those for next year's Life Day?
I do have some fun factoids that are a little bit a little bit relevant right now.
Okay.
What is the name again? Cyril, right? From Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cyril, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Andor is very serious. Andor is a very, very awesome, great, darker take on the Star Wars universe and a glimpse into, the day-to-day life of, people on boots on the ground, people that are just trying to, work their 9 to 5s. But I can also super appreciate, maybe again in my own broken way, that there feels like, a little bit of a shout out to the holiday special in one of the recent episodes where you get Cyril, really making the ISB officers super, super uncomfortable. I got so many flashbacks to the holiday special to Krellman in the bar. And I feel like Krellman and Cyril will be horrible, horrible bar wingmen. Like they are the creepy intergalactic nice guys that are just trying to get their way and don't realize that they're, horrible human beings. So that's I don't know. I had super, super heavy flashbacks to that as well. There's also another potential Andor connection. Due to increased activity from subversive forces. Now, is that also connected to the heist that happens in Andor? Is the Imperial yoke tightened because of the actions of Cassian and crew? I don't know. This is, we've all got headcanons, and I continuously tout the fact that, the Star Wars Holiday Special is canon in its own way, and it's little bits and pieces here and there. And isn't that why we have legends? There's truth in legends. There's bits and pieces that are pulled from that. So Star Wars, the Holiday Special is canon. It's a legend. It's legendary, but it's also, got these gold nuggets. And, you can, pry it from my cold dead hands, but I'll still say it's a good time. Also, the humanoid rat. What's going on there? Are they friends?
What is going on there?
Do they have history? Yep. Does she know the rat's order? Does she give it cheese or does she give it alcohol? And if so, how much alcohol?
Cheese.
Like, what?
Yeah, beer cheese, like with a pretzel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Or it could be like the rum ham from It's Always Sunny. It could just be alcohol infused giant, piece of cheddar. I don't know. It's a wild universe with wizards and fascists and plastic armor does not protect anything. Why not have an alcoholic rat that's ginormous? So it's all fun. Why not enjoy all the wild morsels of it?
What would Max Rebo? I almost said Honnid because I associate you with Max Rebo so much, but what would Max Rebo's order be, at the cantina? Would it be a peanut?
Oh, man.
Yeah, just one
peanut with
one peanut.
Yeah.
Or it would be
just him with his deep silky voice just asking for the regular or the usual, and is just handed a plate with one like super super Gucci looking peanut that's got like gold flakes spread around it, and maybe some parsley sprinkled on top. Yeah, I think it'd be something smooth like that. You'd really savor it too. You'd be standing at the bar chewing, and I think he would clock Krellman from pretty far away, and deal with that before it became a situation. Yeah. Any scenario that you introduce Max into, I think it gets improved, and you don't get any Cyrils, you don't get any Krellmans. I think Max Rebo has a place in each part of canon, and I don't think anybody's going to fight me on that.
Absolutely not going to fight you on Max Rebo for sure, and I'm not going to fight you on the holiday special because it's great, and you should definitely search out a copy and watch it for yourself. It's pretty easy to find on YouTube, so just do a little search. It's about an hour and 38 minutes, so you can definitely do that. And let us know if you watch the holiday special and what you think about it. What is your favorite kind of skit or song? Or if you've watched the Wookiee Life Day, let us know all that stuff because it's pretty fun. But I don't know, Cassia, Life Day, pretty exciting stuff. And episode 150, that's exciting too.
It is very exciting. Thank you for helping us make both milestones happen. Because if it weren't for the 150th episode, I don't know how, just sometimes I disassociate while I watch the holiday special, and I'm like, did you know it's Dame Judi Dench's birthday today? You know, and but I'm like, I have to focus, you know, and but it got better as we went along, and Hooney's excitement like turned into my excitement, and I'm like, why aren't we just a holiday special podcast? Why are we like an older public
This
podcast?
is true.
You know, so
let me know next time you do a watch through. I'll just send you my sheet of interesting factoids that you can, dip into every now and then.
oh man.
That's right. Hooney will call you on the phone and just watch along like the audio with you as you go for sure. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for Life Day for the Star Wars Holiday Special. And I want to thank you for coming on, Hooney. Like Cassia said, we wouldn't have been able to do Life Day any justice if you would have been here with us. So why don't you plug anything you want to plug? And thank you so much for coming on and talking about the Holiday Special again.
So again, I'm a broken person, but I draw things, and I draw things while watching wild content. And you can see the results of my work on Instagram at Honnid, Honnid. And I draw a lot of art. I draw a lot of clones. I draw a lot of more serious looking things, but sometimes I'll throw in holiday special shout outs as well. You can also find some of my art on imprint. So if you'd like to support me that way, buy me more coffee. You can support me there as well. I've got some prints up there. I've got one you might recognize from the podcast as well, on Kazook. And I think it's one of my favorite pieces that I've done in the last couple of years. So check that out. A lot of my other artists up there as well. And please listen to the podcast, listen to my episodes, but I'm embarrassed by my voice, so you don't really have to. Watch the holiday special. The holiday special forever. 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10, 10,000 out of 10. Great time. Good stuff. Love it. And maybe it'll take the 4th, 5th, maybe 20th time for you to watch it and, find the golden nuggets, but they're there. And maybe you just have to pass your sanity and let that, stay at the door. Yeah. But all good stuff. And I'm happy to be on the pod again. What is this, my 5th or 6th time? Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm happy I was here for the 150th. That's really, really awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and thank you for all your help, Brian, on the pod. Like, we wouldn't have made it to 150 without you. So, and I'm very appreciative for the help you help with.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a team effort, and thank you everyone out there listening. Because 150 episodes. They're fun for us to put together and talk about this stuff, but we don't do that if it's not for the audience out there listening, week in, week out. So we definitely appreciate everyone out there who's tuning in too.
Yeah. So may the holiday special be with you.